Hi, Clint Kuhns here with Anderson Business Advisors, and in this segment we're going to discuss buying and holding real estate. All right, let's get started. So what do we want to do then with buy and holds? If you're an investor who's going to go out there and buy either commercial, multifamily, residential, and you intend to hold it, that is, you don't intend to rehab it and then sell the property, what should you be considering as far as an entity planning concern to ensure that that asset is protected? Well, one of the things that I want to make sure you're doing is you want to start with a limited liability company for that asset. You're going to set up an LLC that's going to hold title to that property. Now, the reason you're going to use a limited liability company here is that you want asset protection. All right, that is key when it comes to real estate, having asset protection. And so what it does for us is ensures that if anything happens inside of the box, and we're down here as an owner of this LLC, owners are referred to as members. If anything happens inside of the box, it's going to stay in the box. So that claim will not get outside of that box and come after us individually. Because I mean, you have assets in your own name. You have your personal residence, all right? You have your truck here in your own name. And the last thing you want is a creditor to come after you and take these assets from you. So you got your personal savings as well. So we want to isolate them, put that risk asset inside of the LLC. The second thing this company does for you is it protects your real estate from whatever happens on the outside. If you're involved, let's say, in a car accident and somebody sues you individually, the LLC will protect your real estate in most instances from those creditors' claims. Now, this is why you want to make sure you get back with a strategist at our firm to talk about the proper states to create these LLCs or how you hold them, because this second level of protection, I mean, everybody gets the first level. Few people understand how the second level works. And that is, if I sue you individually and they come after you, can they take that LLC from you? I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've dealt with in the past that were just shocked to learn that they actually lost their LLC to a creditor. And they're just scratching their head and they've told me, they say, Clint, when I set this up, I thought LLCs protected my assets. Well, it happens to be that they created the LLC in the wrong state, and that state doesn't provide that type of asset protection for them. Because not all states are uniform in their approach to protecting your properties, or your companies, that is. So you want to start with a limited liability company for the assets themselves. You'll be the member in that LLC, and it's going to provide you asset protection. Now, one of the things that you're going to focus on is, how many LLCs do you create? Well, obviously, think on this. If I had 3 properties inside of one limited liability company, what's my problem? Well, if something goes wrong with one of the properties, let's say this is the property that has a serious issue. Maybe it's toxic mold that results from owning that real estate, because that's a very real concern when it comes to owning residential property. Well, if it's toxic mold and somebody sues, and of course, since toxic mold is environmental contamination, you have no insurance coverage with that. Even though you have insurance, they won't protect you. Then this property and this property are both put at risk because of the claims brought by that particular tenant. So what we want to do with our rental real estate, that is a property that we buy with investment and tend to hold long term, is we want to separate out these properties in a structure that minimizes our overall risk exposure. So what I will do here is I will create multiple limited liability companies that I will set up for my properties as follows. And each of these LLCs here would have a property. So here's an LLC number 2, it's got a property. LLC number 3, it's got a property. You get what we're doing here. And here's LLC number 4, and it has a property. Now, when it comes back to that toxic mold issue again, it's this LLC right here and its assets that are now put at risk. I've minimized my risk exposure down to one entity. And these other 2, 3, and 4, they're protected. So the claims of LLC number 1 stay with LLC number 1 and the property that it owns. And it does not impair my properties in 2, 3, or 4. So a sound strategy when investing in real estate long term, assets you do not intend to flip right away, you'll want to use separate LLCs and separate out those investments. So The last point about this is, how do you own these LLCs? I mean, do you just sit down here and own them individually like this, or do you maybe create another company down here that should own it? Well, again, that's why you're going to have a strategy session, because what you need to talk about in the ownership is probably one of the most important aspects of this particular investing, because when you set up the LLCs, here's something you need to focus on. You know, 4 LLCs, that could be 4 separate tax returns that you have to file on an annual basis, and that's just going to drive up the cost for you. And that, in fact, most people see that as a detriment. I get it. So you can actually set up these LLCs, if you do it the right way with the proper structure, where you don't have to file any tax returns for them. So it lowers your cost of running your business. Another aspect that we covered was asset protection. You know, are these LLCs going to be protected from your personal creditors? So we want to make sure that whatever interest you hold is not subject to your personal creditors. So I gave you the example, maybe you're involved in a car accident, somebody sues you. Let's say you default on a personal note, somebody can sue you for that. Or you have children and they do something wrong, you can get sued for that. There's so many different ways you can be involved in a lawsuit. We want to make sure that these assets are put beyond the reach of our creditors. So knowing how to hold them is equally important there. And then more importantly, you know, do you want people to know what you have? When you create these LLCs, there's an art to putting this together. And a lot of people miss one key aspect of this planning that your strategist will go over with you, is that, do you want your name on all of these LLCs? Do you want these tenants to know that you own the property? So if you got a disgruntled tenant, who are they calling to bother with respect to that particular property? So I'm a firm believer in anonymity, that is getting my name off of everything, that I don't want people to know how many businesses I hold. As you know, I have over 100 properties, and I don't want my tenants to know how to track me down. I don't want investors calling me up and making me offers on my property, trying to lowball me, and I have to deal with those types of individuals, or getting slammed with mail. So by setting these up in a particular manner, we can ensure that your information isn't provided to the Secretary of State. You don't hit any public databases, so your investing remains private. So there's a lot that goes on when it comes to buying and holding. And what's key is that you take the next step and make sure you talk to someone at Anderson, if you're a buy and hold investor, to put together the right strategy for your particular types of investing. My name's Clint Coons with Anderson Business Advisors, and in this segment we discussed buying and holding real estate.